Sure.
Shoot.
Hi, my name is Mark Stoker, and I'm giving my new membership talk. The title of my membership talk is Asset Allocation, which includes the important assets in my life. I'm going to start with a quick history about my family. My mom's side of the family starts with my great-grandparents, two French immigrants who met in New York City and eventually made their way to California. Their son, my maternal grandfather, became the head of the music department at the University of Redlands in Southern California. He met his future wife, my grandmother, who was a graduate student in the music department. My maternal grandmother, his wife, was descended from one of the early families who made their way to the 13 colonies seeking religious freedom, which was the Leavitt family. The family settled in Maine, where their original homestead is a preserved historical site. She became a school teacher. My mother grew up with music and a strong love of reading and education. My father's side of the family was involved in farming in the Central Valley. The family grew grapes for sun-made raisins and also had large fruit orchards. My paternal grandfather became the first Stoker to receive a college education and graduated from USC in the first graduating class of dentistry. My paternal grandmother grew up in Seattle in high society as her father owned a large construction company. Most of his work involved building Seattle's infrastructure, including streets and bridges. I have visited Seattle and seen his hallmark on the streets. I have also visited the original family home in Seattle, and it is a marvelous example of craftsman-style architecture atop Beacon Hill, also it being a historical landmark. My father grew up with a love for fishing in the Sierras, an eye for investment and prudent money management handed down from his grandmother, and the importance of a college education from his father. He later developed a love of wine. I grew up with the same love for music, cooking, love of art and literature from my mother, and from my father, the love of mountains and fishing, the stock market and investing, and sampling wine that had been aged to develop complexity. I met my wife my freshman year while attending UC Davis, majoring in environmental horticulture, studying to be a greenhouse grower. My wife was raised in Livermore, and she has worked at the lab for over 30 years. After college, I had the opportunity to be a grower, but my idea of being a grower was based on my experience in college in research and development. I quickly learned that nursery products are just like any other commodity. I soon had the opportunity to be involved in sales with the nursery, and I was allowed to develop an individual, enterprising, and independent sales style, which felt liberating to me. But being involved with sales furthered my disillusionment about plants as a commodity. After some soul searching, I realized that I actually needed this free-form type of employment to be successful, so I reluctantly embraced wholesale nursery sales as my career. I decided that being of service to my family was more ultimately rewarding to me. I enjoyed being a soccer coach, a t-ball coach, an involved neighbor, and a fellow school parent. My children all went on to college. My daughter is a lawyer, my oldest son is an engineer, and my youngest son is still exploring his way. He's working presently for Comcast and is a part-time fly fishing guide on the Feather and Sacramento rivers. I have developed other hobbies along the way. One included going back to school studying viticulture and enology. I am involved with friends in a small winery in Calaveras County. After making wine and carboys for several years, I am now making my first barrel-aged Zinfandel from the 2014 harvest. I love gardening, canning, pickling, and food preservation. I enjoy wood-fired barbecue, cooking briskets and pork shoulders low and slow. Also curing pork to produce bacon and hams. I love art and live theater, steel and slide guitar, American ethnic music, particularly bluegrass. I love the high mountains and fishing, particularly steelhead fishing in Northern California and Southern Oregon. Since my children are now well on their way experiencing adulthood, I feel the need to be of service to a community which helped nurture my family and myself. Livermore has been a tremendous place to raise a family. If my children migrate back to Livermore, I would like to see my children's children experience an even greater Livermore in the future. In investing, you need prudent asset allocation. I have been taught to invest more in stocks, which offer growth potential, than bonds, which offer a company's debt. I feel Rotary offers growth potential for me and is going to be a valuable asset for me. Thank you.